cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Alrari, I refuse body. I leave them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with maybe a hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. Will prepare his body. Make sure he have a sardonic grin on his face. That's all he does do. That man is a waste. Bury in the back of my cemetery. Turn he upside down. He face I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he. Not with the hand, put good fork on he. Gypsy, political grasshopper. I may feel little pity cause he's my brother. But like Tarzan, he's swinging from vine to vine. It's time I help you to make up your mind. Fitzgerald, Rasta City. I know they go glad to get the body. Resi on beat and don't fall to see. Drink 2 beers and watch Coco get happy. But Kamala, I not ready to bury. She's a strong, determined woman like me and deserve a chance to run this country. When she in power, I don't go hungry. And Calypsonian does get big money. She don't deserve no spot in my cemetery. I putting she in the center of the city. Paula, you too damn lazy. You sit on a throne while women die daily. You deserve a nice spot in my cemetery. All you do is just collect big salary. Regis, you disappoint me with your racial tongue. You like you can see. Your barber does trim you with weed waka. All day all you do is sushila. You when PNM lost. One day you must come bust a line with me. We go knock a glass, make myself happy. I yadi that what you is to me. A grassroots man, stand up for country. I will stand by your side and watch you at work. But if you falter, you're going to get fucked. Watson, what is wrong with you? I thought you and Fally would have stick like glue. Boy, shake the man hand and tighten that space before PNM come back and win that race. Shamfa, one we sacrifice. Yet every week she have new weave, man, she living nice. You and the cold pot man resemble and strong. A bum seated red and you like a tongue.
Sorry about that. Pleasant good night to all and sundry, East, West, North, South, Central, or Face and Tobago, and wherever you are, streaming on the World Wide Web, a pleasant good day to you. Yes, and this is the Thursday edition of the Corridor Transformation. Your host, LENNOX Smith, and of course, the penultimate before, of course, that day tomorrow, well, I will take my day off. Of course, it's entertainment. It is about making sure that I engage in what some may technically call aerobics, but of course it is about making certain that all work and no play will eventually make Jack a dull boy. I don't want to be dull, but of course I am conscious that all play and no work make Jack a mere toy. So therefore you have to generate the balance. And of course, this is what it is all about. And therefore, tomorrow night, Friday night, I will not be on, but of course, back here on Saturday night. So, I trust, of course, tonight you will see that, of course, the focus is on Dr. Rowley. I think he is hypocritical as per usual. And it is not a case now of being bipolar or being schizophrenic. It is about a deliberate, miscreant, conscious, and of course unrelenting, heartless and brutal in terms of treating with those who he believes are either a political threat to him or would have stymied his unrelenting thrust to not only misuse and abuse power and office, but to have his way, a total and absolute typification of a dictator. So people, that is how the cookie will crumble tonight. As we look at, of course, Dr. Rowley and his half-hearted, clearly, because he probably didn't want people like me to know, and now that I know, I will have to say no in certain terms. There can be no apology for Rowley being accused, and it's not an accusation. It is a pellucid, conspicuous, and irrefutable fact that has probative evidence in a court of law. In other words, that he's a blasted rapist and a pedophile. And therefore, whether you want to say birds of feather flock together, it's irrelevant. The fact is that he has no moral authority and no decency to ask for an apology, because he believed that those who he has poisonously anointed, let me repeat, he has poisonously appointed a fella called Stuart Young. Some call him, of course, Small Pin. I call him a moron. A moron and a total and absolute neophyte in permanent figuration. Permanent. Can't change. Permanent. So let us not waste time with the platitudes and the cacophonous babblings of Rowley, asking for, of course, an apology. Nothing different, people. Nothing different, people. So when, of course, Camille Robinson Regis was caught with, of course, saying she took money from one bank and deposited in another bank, but the same amount of money remained in the original bank that she said she took it from, and they then, of course, call a press conference to try to bamboozle and to hoodwink and to, of course, gaslight the population, as my son would say, gaslight the population, to, of course, somehow she is innocent of the guilt that she had exhibited. And today, we have seen no sign of any effort to try to bring that situation to closure. But more importantly, Rowley, when in her defense, he said he go take out the money from First Citizen Bank, because why it is that she should be exposed in the way that she did. A public officer, a government officer, with questionable money, over $100,000, and he doesn't want her to be questioned. Similar, of course, to Al-Rari and his children. Al-Rari disowned his children, but Rowley, of course, was saying that is his children. That is evidence that is not just objective, but it is superior evidence that can be presented in a criminal court. People, we will have a wonderful time tonight, as per usual.
Make sure he have a sardonic grin on his face. That's all he does do. That man is a waste. Bury in the back of my cemetery. Turn he upside down. He face I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he. Not with the hand, put good fork on he. Cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fork with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politician, only making up numbers in my island. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley.
Yes indeed, people. Rowley, the liar. Rowley, the pedophile. Rowley, the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, in a state of decrepit, in a state of self-destruction, in a state of total and absolute discombobulation. So that recently he talks about he wants an apology. And listen to how it went. Listen to how it went.
An unfortunate and unnecessary distraction. Anna Ramdes. October 19, 2024. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the matter surrounding Government Minister Stuart Young's statements has been dealt with by the Parliament's rules. He said he hopes one day opposition leader Kamala Persad-Besesser will apologize to him and his family for her role in placing on Hansard that he and his father were rapists and that Senior People's National Movement, PNM members were engaged in pedophilia. The matter was an unfortunate, unnecessary, unintended distraction. The matter has been extensively and comprehensively dealt with by members of the House and the full chair, said Rowley via WhatsApp when asked for comment by the Express yesterday. I trust that the members for Siparia and Kuva North are satisfied with Minister Young's apologies relating to the substance of matters which must have been shocking to them all hearing such serious allegations from a Member of Parliament for the first time, he said. Rowley, House has ruled. The Prime Minister said he was happy that the House rules were used to bring justice and relief to the offended members. It has raised my hopes that one day the member for Siparia will apologize to me and my family for her role in placing on Hansard that my father and I are rapists, and my political colleagues, senior members of the PNM, are engaged in pedophilia, the heinous crime of sexually abusing children, he stated. Rowley was referring to the controversial statement made by former Tobago East MP Vernella Aline Toppin during the Persad-Besesser administration in March 2015. Speaking on a no-confidence motion on Rowley, Aline Toppin said he was a child of rape and a rapist himself. She apologized for the comments after facing public outrage. The Prime Minister added, I support the call for reaffirmation of dignity in the House as I await the apology to my family and the outcome of the police investigation into all reports of human trafficking. Until then, let's all strive to be better persons in our own conduct and trust that the crimes mentioned here are not joined by extortion and blackmail.
Now, I want you to understand the mindset of this miscreant. Let me repeat. I want you to understand the mindset of this miscreant. When there was an international, I think the report was, of course, out of the State Department, the annual report of countries in the Western Hemisphere undertaken by the State Department of the United States. And the representative for Tabakit, no, not Tabakit, the representative for Naparima, Charles, noted in that report that it stated that senior government ministers are engaged in, of course, human trafficking. Rowley, in response to that, and I'm sure that it got the benefit of any kind of analysis objectively, as is typical, move into knee-jerk response. He was capricious, but predictable and in his natural element, by making no bones about it and saying that as far as he is concerned, the senior officials of government referred to Kamala Persad-Besesser and the opposition. That is what he said. That is what he said. So without, and clearly without any kind of analysis, he said that off the cuff, knowing full well that he, Rowley, the question of him being a teacher back in 1969 and a girl who made a child at 17 years of age, Miss Allen, whilst he was a teacher, fully conscious of that. Those are material and physical and irrefutable. That is the highest standard of evidence you could get and give. You can't get away from that, Rowley. And he has refused to explain that situation, except, of course, trying to play victim game. Well, I say, hold your tail. You had to take that. We're asking for what? For apology for what? For something you did wrong, as we have seen in other instances, but this one is much more lucid, much more bold-faced, much more arrogant, much more contemptuous of the people that he is, of course, spewing that level of hogwash and diatribe to. And I'm talking about the population of Trinidad and Tobago. And I'm talking as well to those persons who believe that they are of the intellectual class. I'm talking about, of course, those who are in middle class. I'm talking about those who are in the upper class. I'm talking about those who are at the lowest rung of the socio-economic ladder, and therefore the working class in Trinidad and Tobago. He attempts to, of course, use his position to insult everybody. And we must address these matters frontally. His character has no currency, has no value. That is what his character is. And under normal circumstance, someone among the working class and from Laventille and East Port of Spain and Beetham and so on, they will want to lock them in jail. But here it is, he has been able, of course, to rub shoulders with the upper echelons of the society, the captains of industry, the intellectuals, the religious class, and of course, those who have found themselves in professional positions and therefore serious responsibility for the maintenance of not just the dignity and pride and, of course, the advancement of Trinidad and Tobago by virtue of representing our population or our citizenship. And then you have that ne'er-do-well, that predator, that political and physical and sexual combo, attempting, of course, to absolve himself with that situation. And we must not for one moment give Rowley any kind of oxygen for that nonsense, because he knows that it is true of what he did. The physical evidence cannot be destroyed, It's not like, of course, the EBC hiring, of course, Grand Bay, that company that this government gave $5 million ostensibly to, of course, sustain or maintain their workforce. And it's the same company that EBC hired to do what? To destroy polling cards and ballot paper and other apparatus or material relating, of course, to the 2020 general elections in particular. They tell him about. There's no moral authority to ask for any kind of forgiveness. And it is correct for, of course, at minimum, for Kamala and them to, of course, ignore him. Far less to tell him as it only because she's a stateswoman that he can get some choice words that is of a what? Of not only, I won't even reprimand is too soft a word. But he must be made to understand, Rowley, that people must be excoriating You must be vitriolic and no longer accusative, but to tell him as it is that that is what you did. You raped Miss Allen. And don't tell me, as his lawyer tried to tell me in a letter that they sent, of course, to the telecommunications authority, saying that the girl was out of school. You have to be an ass to believe that I, LENNOX Smith, will accept that as an excuse for exculpating or in any way eroding or washing away the inexcusable and the unpardonable sin that Rowley has committed on that schoolgirl at that time, back in 1969. She made the child, of course, in 1970. But let us look at the statement made by his lawyer to me. To me, indirectly, of course, to the radio station where I made, of course, the announcement for over a year, 2 years, 3 years, that Rowley is a rapist and a pedophile. And here he goes again, recently, in an attempt to defend Stuart Young, saying that he wants an apology for calling his family and bringing his family into disrepute. But he has not defended it. I thought he said that he will defend to the hilt his name. I thought so. Or conveniently, when he believes that people can't prove what they say, oh, that's why. And yes, you sycophants and you thunderheads who, of course, defended that and telling me or try to deflect attention by attacking me and others, I am going to deal with that, because the first thing I have to say is how the hell you make a man like that your leader. But let's go to the line. A pleasant good night and welcome.
Yes, good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
I wanted to apologize to Keith Christopher Rowley for calling him a rapist and a pedophile. He's going to shut you down.
I will make no such and take no such action. I've been doing that for the past 9 years, and I will continue so to do until he gets the hell out of office. That despicable rapist and pedophile. Go ahead, my friend. I accept your concern, but I am not going to.
You stubborn,
You're
stubborn.
Yeah?
You hear me?
Yeah.
You're stubborn.
Yes, of course I am.
You know you're stubborn.
Yes, I am. And let me tell you something. I will find ways, if he shut down here, I'll find ways to get back into and under his skin. Because he feared that anything else. But every time he gets an opportunity, opportunistic and politically parasitic as he is, will try to absolve himself from that stained character and personality and reputation that he has. And we will continue, of course, to dig away. But go ahead.
Yes, so I watched this program there in the evening.
Yes.
The 4 o'clock program on Iowa Station with TC and Heavy.
Yes.
Well, TC was not TC, Heavy.
Okay.
Had some guests from the union, the Oilfields Workers Trade Union.
Okay.
And this fella, one of the fellas, talk out about Petrotrin and the gas to liquid plant. But all the listeners listen to them fellas. I was hoping they would have come out and be able to tell the people who is the private entity in that gas to liquid plant deal. And the poor man, I know, when Heavy asked him, the man, I know, I said, Lord, here we go again. I tell you, it's that thing, eh? All you can't find out with that man, you know. Yeah. You know the private entity pull out and the whole thing. And we was the people had to be paying for this infrastructure at this plant and everything is Trinidad and Tobago with this entity. And when the whole thing bust, when the thing blew up, they pull out the private entity. Oh God. If you don't like how this thing going, you think it easy?
Listen,
I will
evil could
always
never
have to say,
prevail. Evil can never prevail. Evil could never prevail.
watch
But go ahead.
me.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. But we can't stay and pray and say that we have to work hard.
Of
Or you
course.
have
And
to
this is
work
what
hard.
this is all about, man.
No. It's about 8 years. Look at time. You know, if people find out and think about that, wait is going to take in this place, I think here go catch a fire. Oh God. I always have to say who don't hear does have to feel.
Obviously, that's an old, saying.
You can't get away from that, you know.
By senior citizens,
when I tell you we feeling, we get robbed. Yeah, now if you listen to that interview heavy had with that man, you get sick. Yeah, you will get sick. Them fellas take, when heavy listen and he say, but only taking a chance and it's so dangerous. They threatened, they was threatened, they can't really talk and things. But themselves, they're real brave to come out and show their face and all of that and talk. So, thing what the media is telling you because they have the media under control. But what I want to say is, this country is supposed to have equality, not so?
That's right.
It's supposed to have integrity, not so?
That's right. That is part of democracy.
It's supposed to have procurement, not so?
Democracy at work, yes.
Exactly. It didn't have that. No democracy. They controlling the government, controlling the independent institutions. When you have them kind of thing, you know, is communist.
And
The mainstream media can talk.
Dictatorship.
And dictatorship. Yeah, but then it's serious, but it's communist too.
That's right.
You
totalitarian,
know, watchmen.
autocratic. Yeah, all of those terms.
Yeah, watchmen. The man says something that I did say because I'm watching the geopolitics, you know, others watch that. And I know things.
That is your forte, yes.
I know certain things. The man saying that concerning the oil and gas, that if the war busts in the Middle East, we will be in problems here. I did tell earlier, if the war busts, we're going to find out all kind of thing with that oil and gas. But he made the citizens in the country know that we really importing gas on the outside. But you know, he can't tell you which part. Oh God, this thing going real nice. I watching. Yeah? Government failed. And the lady, I will always call she Sleeping Beauty. Because the day will come when all they will know she was a Sleeping Beauty. Because with all them things I mentioned that we don't have, she's supposed to report this government because we are on a charter. We are on the Inter-American Charter. And this OAS yap talking here. And if all they can't come out and tell Sleeping Beauty to report this government, no. That organization, all your dogs dead. Right? We need to talk about those borders there, those districts there in the southern part of the country to have it separated. If he could add on seat for Tobago, an extra seat, he could damn well split up 4 or 5 of them. That is the only way Camilla will win with observers. So all you stop there and block. And they say nothing to them UNC people. They let them sleep. Because I know they're coward. You hear? They're very coward. And we are playing it soon. They had to learn to listen to the citizens. And this thing with Jack Warner talking about he's ready to go back and all them set up old tests. We're talking about they want to go back there. Wait and see. How much of them she gonna take back? All of that gonna make it look bad. You hear? Especially with that Jack Warner. I don't care what nobody's saying. I'm talking bold this time. Right? It's 1 minute they for Jack, next minute they get damn vexed and they say, oh, it's true they calling she lesbian and all kind of thing now. And now they're looking to hug him up again because they're vicious. That's when people want to use you. You see, you notice I don't call that man name at all. I do business to hear about he and the Gary Griffith and all of them. She must learn to stand up on her own, do the right thing, get some new blood in the party and forget all them old tests. Them is waste of time. Them only want to go there to tell you what to do. I set that damn yellow belly. Good night.
Good night, my dear. Good night, my dear. But of course, I want to say up front, I have no brief for Kamala nor the UNC when coming to national issues. National issues are higher, defending our country, and of course making certain that it is on an even keel, and avoid, of course, the pitfalls that will certainly and have, of course, besetting the country with the advent of this criminal enterprise called the PNM, managed by a mafia group of individuals led by Keith Christopher Rowley, a rapist and a pedophile. And that's not waste time. But it is critical for one to disabuse the notion that, of course, Kamala and they are in a state of complacency over the last 9 years. Far from it. Why do you think people like Jack Warner, people like, of course, Roger, people like Inchanali, I understand now, Inchanali, his name is, or that activist, and of course, recent addendum, the trade union movement in general, and then you have, of course, the persons who say that they have, of course, lifetime membership of the PNM, whether it be, of course, Mariano Brown or indeed Tishera, etc. Why do you think that they are now talking a different language, or put another way, their utterances are not as venomous or as excoriating as they once were? Why? Because it is clear that they have realized that in spite of their early overtures and attacks, Kamala Persad-Bissessar, the UNC, did some significant undermining, eroding politically of the PNM and Rowley. And let us take a few of them, because I want to deal, of course, with that rapist and pedophile component of Rowley's character. But it's important because we have to disabuse. It was Kamala Persad-Bissessar and they that raised the issue of sandals. It was Kamala Persad-Bissessar and they that raised the issue of what I consider to be against Trinidad and Tobago's interests, or put more specifically, the Tobago people's interests, when Rowley and they orchestrated the destruction of the sea bridge in the early days of this administration back in 2015, 2016, thereabout. Yeah, it was they who did that. It was they who found out not only that the Galicia was being dismissed by Rowley and they for reasons to only accommodate persons known to Rowley and the PNM, to give them the contract instead, even though they were dunderheaded, incompetent, and of course didn't have a clue as to how to maintain those boats. So the ferries were sent back to Canada by Rowley and replaced, of course, by a group of persons that later we got information and were told local, of course, engineers who got a hustle. And everything went downhill. But let's go straight, of course, to the lines. Pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Hello? I hope
Inchan Ishmael the guy man.
Ishmael, yes, right. I say Inchan Ishmael.
Inchan Ishmael.
Yeah. And I always remember that was my favorite googly bowler, you know, Inchan Ali. So sometimes that is off the cuff.
Right.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Yes. Inchan Ishmael is the correct person I'm talking about, who has now come on board. Of course, I don't talk about. And nobody could doubt it. Philip Alexander. I mean, he was the arch enemy, if there was any, of the UNC. So you're telling me that up until now, anybody who are skeptical or some modicum of not understanding the politics, or put even more specific, even if they are in denial and they had a predisposition to, of course, a dislike for Kamala Prasad Bisessan, the UNC, you telling me that all they see that a blind man will see that the UNC is on the ascendancy, and that came as a consequence of the work that the UNC did by and large. I am not putting the Grog Report, Lennox Smith, the Corridor, Andy, Mikey, and others, and even TC and they in that category. No, that is what they did. They brought it to our attention, and what we did, we conveyed it, because traditional media will not do it, and therefore we found ways and means of telling the population that this is the reality, and of course, it will be incongruent, it will be parallel, similar to their experiences, and therefore the believability cannot be questioned, because you could relate it to your own circumstance, as opposed to what Rowley and they would be telling us. Because you can't tell me that, for example, Sinanan said that Tobago will get everything they want, and they will have the most efficacious or efficient transport to and from Tobago, and then pursued to get a tug and a barge and have the people goods, whether it be housing or construction material, towed up on the sea, exposed to sea blast, in other words, the salt water and the salt in the water. And by the time it reached up to Tobago, the material, whether it's steel and other items that are made of material that will cause the deterioration or the integrity of the material to, of course, disintegrate. Like steel, for example. And by the time we reach up there, they had to sell the steel for less than the price that they would normally, or the markup they would normally. Why? Because it was exposed. But yet still, remember, they were told by Sinanan and therefore the Minister of Works that, listen, everything will be done for the advancement and the protection of Tobagonians. You see, I am making the point that when we go and say, but listen, why did you send back the Galicia that was doing such a good job, and you setting up the people and them things on a badge? Who you think the people of Tobago would have believed? They must believe us. Why? Because there is verifiable and irrefutable as well as, of course, the veracity, the truth of what we are saying cannot be questioned because they can relate it to what? To their own experience. And what they experience is that they had to take the goods off a barge and they therefore had to, of course, reduce the price at which they would normally sell those items for, and therefore not only affecting business, but that has been their reality, their experience. And those are some of the things that all of these fellas see now. And it was initiated by the UNC and led by Kamala Prasad Bisasa all this time for the whole 9 years so far. Let us not waste time. We are wasting time by trying to harp and, of course, talking ad hominem because you had a notion before. No, it is all right to be wrong. Look, I was saying for the past 3 years before that Rowley will have no choice but to call elections. And he didn't. And now I have to take a different position and reassess and reanalyze and say, oh, I understand why now. And you notice, I have been saying that no prime minister, except of course Manning, have called an early election. No prime minister from Eric William, George Chambers, Robinson, yes, Pandey, except of course this fella Manning, and he did it twice. So I ought not to have expected that Rowley, who of course said that he didn't want the position, and of course is the most incompetent, the most hated man, apart from prime minister, the most hated man in the country, to call our early elections. And I was wrong. And I'm saying so now. And I've said so, whether indirectly or indirectly. But you cannot say that I didn't say that. So that your position can change, as Philip did, as the television man did. It's Ishmael. And of course, as Philip, as Gary Griffith will have to, as Roger will have to, and as Warner will have to. And don't tell me that because Warner put something in the public domain that there is no basis for him to be incorporated in a future Trinidad and Tobago, looking at the good that he would have done and the good potential that he can be. Otherwise, you have to say Philip Alexander is persona non grata. You'll have to say that the former Minister of Industry, who contested, of course, Kamala Prasad Bisasa, and would have said all kinds of things. But that does not only apply to the UNC. Gypsy sang a song, Captain, the ship is sinking. You know what I say? That decimated the PNM in the 1986 election, 23-3. Captain, the ship is sinking. And he is now one of the Blue Eye Boys for Rowley, head of the Carnival, the National Carnival Commission, NCC. Those are the vicissitudes. Those are the rise and fall. Those are the eptide and neptides of politics in this country. And anywhere you go where you have a vibrant democracy. However, I must say that where the conduct, the utterances are so egregious, so unpardonable, then clearly, and at any rate, the electorate will decide. But you don't bring in people like that. the population will certainly have to jettison, have to make certain that Rowley and they walk the plank because of the unpardonable sin that they have committed against the people. Where on God's earth Rowley could find an next party or survive politically when he had the responsibility and a golden opportunity to manage the affairs of the country with, as he would say, a decent amount of resources, and then convert when it is convenient that decent amount of resources. And don't tell me I know what I'm talking about before I played for you know. Because the words he would use is two negatives and not so significant amount of. Let me repeat. A not so significant amount of. When you have two negatives in a sentence, then it converts to a positive, just as in maths. Yes? It's not so significant means that it is significant, in other words. It's a positive. And he said so after, of course, they were telling us on the campaign trail in 2015 that the country was running on fumes. That is significant. When they were telling us that Kamlan, they were so bad that, of course, they were conspiring to kill a journalist, all of that, that is unpardonable if it was true. And therefore, from that perspective, Rowley cannot be forgiven. We had to be a crazy group of electorate or people to pardon this man. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. Welcome to the corridor. Pleasant good night. Trust don't have a problem tonight. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. They seem to have lost that. I trust that is not a communication problem. A pleasant good night. I see that the system is still showing that the caller is still on the line. A pleasant good night. Welcome. All right, going once, going twice. We have a lot of work to do tonight because remember tomorrow night I am off, so I want to get in as much work as possible. All right, so let's cut off that and call back a caller. Yes, indeed. So people, in addition to that, it was Kamlan and they who, of course, told us about those boats that were bought through Australia and a facility there as they went, of course. And Rowley is most upset and up to today, I'm sure that he is, of course, reeling from the fact that they get to know not that he didn't do it, but that they got to find out, or they were preparing to find out, and that is to say to communicate with the opposition in Australia in order to find out about those two boats that are now plying the route between Trinidad and Tobago, the passenger vessels. They tell him about. But let's go again. Pleasant good night to welcome to the corridor.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night.
The phone line is giving real trouble.
Oh, all right, okay, all right, but your voice is music to my ears.
You're not hearing anything when you're talking on the phone.
Are you hearing me now? Are you hearing me? Huh? Are you hearing me?
Hello, Mr. Lennox.
Yeah, you're not hearing on the phone.
Yeah, the calls are not hearing on the phone.
All right, okay. Let me check something here and see. Oh boy. All right, thanks very much. Yeah, let me just check this. Let me just check something here and see.
Hello.
Yeah. All right, let's. He has. Oh, yeah. No, but it's on. Why you're not hearing?
You're not hearing anything on the phone, Mr. Lennox.
All right, okay. All right, let me check something again. Thanks very much. Thanks very much. All right, okay. Thanks very much, of course. Let me just check something here.
No.
Are you hearing me now?
I'm not hearing you on the phone.
All right, okay.
But
all right.
I hear you on the TV.
All right, okay. Hold on. I'll call back. Call back. Let me check something here. And then we will go again. All right, audio, let's see what's happening here. Let's speak. All right, okay. Yeah, right, okay. Why am I getting, but I'm not getting that. All right. Microphone. Everything seems to be all right in here. So somebody else call, and if you're hearing me on this on your device, call and let me see if we could rectify that, because things are looking all right here. But in terms of the phone aspect of it, if you're hearing on the phone, you may have to be creative. You may have to, of course, talk to me on the phone. Otherwise, of course, you have your device to listen to my response. Let's go again. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night.
Basically coming through.
You coming out
But
now?
same situation.
Same situation. All right. I don't know what has gone wrong here. I really don't know. Because I'm seeing everything looking all right. I don't want to interfere with anything. I then have to, of course, do a part 2 a little later by shutting down the whole system. Bam, bam, bam. But all right, well, you want to make your contribution without hearing me responding to you and saying, go ahead, caller, and all of that. Make your contribution. I'm sure that you are listening to me on your device, so you hear me saying, make your contribution. Go ahead, in spite of the fact that I cannot accommodate you on the phone itself. Caller, go ahead. All right, okay. So if you, I'm sure that you would have heard me. So when you call, just make your contribution. All right, and that should suffice for tonight at least until I check it out after the program. All right. So I was making the point that it was Kamala who, of course, at the UNC that alerted the population as to the shenanigans, as to the questionable nature of that deal with, of course, the Australian government. Rowley, of course, would claim that somehow they are embarrassing the government, etc. But if you were not clandestine, and if you were not saying that you alone must have the information and we must trust you in a democracy, if you were not cryptic, if you didn't have, of course, those agreements of secret, that we wouldn't have to engage. But how do you tell you're a pedophile and a rapist, and you want we to trust you, having regard to all of the things you have done with respect to Al-Rari, protecting Camille Robinson Regis, protecting Darren Smith, protecting Short Young recently, and we can go on and on, including, of course, the situation with the Vincent Nelson and so forth. But let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you as well, my friend.
And pleasant good night to the right-thinking citizens of this beloved country, Trinidad and Tobago.
Yes, my friend.
Mr. Lennox.
Hey.
I thought somebody told me today was Satan's birthday. But I ain't come to stay long. I tell them that all they tell me when it's Satan's funeral now. Mr. Lennox are gone.
I hear you, my friend. I hear you, my friend. But of course, Satan pacified is Rowley, and there is a saying that says as well that when Rowley reaches hell, Satan has run. So that's to tell you the reputation that Rowley has. In addition, of course, to the rapist and pedophile. Not pseudonym, A pseudonym is a false name. A genuine blasted name. He should be christened a rapist and a pedophile. But I want to make sure that people understand that it was the work of Kamala Prasad-Bissessar that was a cause, of course, to those persons who formerly were her arch nemesis, and I'm talking here plural. And of course, today they are singing a different song because they know for sure that Kamala Prasad-Bissessar and the UNC who will form the next government, and that they have a duty and responsibility to contribute to the jettisoning and for the elimination and the annihilation of this criminal enterprise called the PNM, that of course managed and operated and superintended by the ultimate a criminal called Creed Christopher Rowley and his band of course, long time, what do you call them? A posse? In contemporary times, they call them a gang. So let's say a gang, no different to the same gangs that they would refer to doing all the killings and the murderings and the, of course, the home invasions and the robberies and the kidnappings. No different, because it is criminal. And that is what they did in the offices that they would have held, whether from prime minister, whether ministers, as the case may be. So let's continue. It was Rowley who took his mouth and said that he was disappointed because Kamala and they were opposed to the government stance at the OAS and emanating, or should I say, what caused that to happen, what the genesis of it. Delcy Rodriguez and her band of PDVSA officials that came here during the course of the COVID. And let me say one time that it is clear that if there were no COVID, Rowley and they will invent a COVID. You know what I say? Just as how if there were no Kamala Prasad Bisasa UNC, Rowley and they will invent a UNC and a Kamala Prasad Bisasa only to try to mask, to try to cover up their incompetence, impotence, their iniquities, and their criminal conduct. Yes, that waste time. It was Kamala Prasad Bisasa and them who did that. But I'll leave the several others for last. That's just a few. We could talk about the Cabo Star and the Ocean Flower. We could talk about, of course, the Galleon Passage. Kamala Prasad Bisasande, who exposed that. And when coming to defend the people of Trinidad and Tobago against that disaster tax that Rowley said was inimical, was heartless, was brutal, undermining, when he was, of course, vying for the position that he said that he didn't want, and continue, of course, to give desultory and, of course, ambiguous projections that he ain't going back. When he talk about Swan Song, what do you think Swan Song mean? The final song. Swan Song is not about a bird, you know. Swan Song is a term that means I'm on my way out, I gone. Swan Song. So he talking that talk too, as he talked on the last occasion as well, just before the 2020 election. So don't take him seriously. And of course, his attempt of course to dominate the PNM in the last days in order to protect him, because that is what they did when they closed down Petrotrin. The rationale, the basis for closing down Petrotrin is to protect him, you know, from investigation emanating from the fake oil matter. It is clear. And you heard, of course, Annie Roberts and others now talking that. We were talking that since it occurred, because we knew and we did our homework, and we gleaned from, of course, some of the information that would have augmented and supported what our positions were, because we were prepared, of course, as we did, to, of course, use the Freedom of Information Act, as we did, in order, of course, to get information as far as the Delcy Rodriguez affairs, and, of course, and make the nexus, make the connection between, of course, that visit, that plane, that sanctioned plane, those sanctions individuals by the Americans, and, of course, the shipment of fuel that ended up in Venezuela. But, of course, Rowley and them claiming that ignorance, that they didn't know. Well, I say to Rowley and they, if you didn't know, then it means, therefore, Paria, who negotiated that with Maduro's operatives, should have been fired. Let's go to the line. Pleasant, good night, welcome. Yes, good night, welcome.
LENNOX.
Yes, welcome. Go ahead and speak. Go ahead and speak.
Yeah.
Say what you want to say
Good
because
morning, LENNOX.
we having a communication problem.
LENNOX.
So say what you want to say. Go ahead and speak.
LENNOX.
Oh boy. All right. Let me take up this. For those of you who are calling tonight, call and say what you have to say. The population, the audience will be hearing you. Because I have a mic problem and I have not been able to solve it at this point in time. So please, when you get in, just say what you want to say. Make your presentation. Let me repeat. Those of you who are calling and you got through, just talk. We are hearing you and the world will be hearing you as well. You probably could listen on your device because we are having, of course, a mic problem in studio that I have not been able to resolve. All right? I think I make that very, very, very clear. So speak one time. Don't bother to look for an answer from me. Of course, if you're calling me on my smartphone, I'll be able to. That seems to be working. I'll be able to answer you, and of course, I will put it at the mic, and the whole world will know what you are speaking about or your contribution. All right, so yes, so speak one time, and if not, of course, if you call me on my smartphone, I will treat with the matter immediately. At least we'll have a better communication because I'll be able to speak to you as well. I know people would always is uncomfortable for you to just speak without, of course, the person on the other end, which of course in this case is me, unable to speak. All right, to speak to you. Yes, a pleasant good night. So look at this, for example. This is on my smartphone, and of course, that person will be hearing me now. But on the system, it appears that I am not getting the opportunity to talk to you, to say hello, to say make your contribution. I go ahead, caller. I just wanted to use you as an example.
LENNOX.
Yes.
Yeah, this is from San Fernando.
Go ahead, San Fernando.
I'm going on the road of vision here.
Go ahead.
I'm going on the road of vision. Kamala came out of the bowels of the NR. Even though she did, we must also look at where the UNC came out from. The UNC came out from a position really to also have labor. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead,
Right.
go ahead. I'm hearing you loud and clear. You go ahead and we can talk, yeah.
No, she did a lot. Right? Because
Yes.
the reason why I say I'm going down the road of vision.
Yeah.
Look at for example, just one example here. Look at the highway from where it was left over from down by Golconda.
Uh-huh.
She took it straight down to Labre.
That's right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
No. That's a 5-year period that she did that in.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let us look at the position now of education. Right? 107 schools. Right? That's a 5-year period again. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a university was also constructed down on the south
Yeah, debate there about the
campus.
debate campus, yes. Uh-huh.
So you're constructing a highway, right? For let's say, okay, any student that's coming out from Point 14 would have had to travel from Point 14 to UWI, where UWI is up at the UWI campus.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yes.
So if you construct a highway from San Fernando to Point, right?
Mm-hmm.
You would ease up that whole transportation load with students.
Yes.
Right? Good. Okay. That is the position also with the highway and education. Right? You
Right.
can see where Kamala was leading this country towards a future that would spell prosperity.
So
Right?
true.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay, now look at the idiot Rowley. Rowley talked about the email gate, and the email gate was a total failure. Good?
Yeah.
It failed because we would have been laughed at if, you're spelling going down the road to show people, right?
Yes,
if you spell a word wrong, right, in that email gate thing, we would have been laughed at if, let me say, the investigation had proved that spelling a word wrong is right. We would have been laughed at because it was concocted in the first place.
Yes.
Good?
Yes.
No. Imagine he did that, right? And then come to think, laptops was a thing that was given by Kamala and the UNC government for the children in schools.
That's right.
So imagine that idiot who we call Rowley talk about that email gate, right? And the email gate was concocted. And then in the end, right, when you take government, you come and take away the laptops from children. What the hell you doing? You understand what I'm coming from?
That's the question. What the hell you doing? I agree.
What you doing? Because, that's a total mess. You throw the country 30 or 40 years backward. No, and you have no plan as to where we going forward. You understand? Because the Minister of Education again, as I say it again, made a mess with that one school, that one school that she tried to open, right? Where she said the $10 million was given to that one school.
Yeah.
Right? Compare
That's
that
St. George's. That is St. George's
St.
school.
George's.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Compare that one, right, with 107. You can't even open one. Right? And Kamala put on 107 for you. And listen to this. When Rowley made the statement or asked the media that he wants to ask the media, go and look for the 107 schools, right? That Kamala says she built, right? That's this same present minister here was sitting on in the audience clapping. You saw that, right?
Of course, because they thought that it was pie in the sky, and that Rowley, who ought to have known better, and because he's in charge, and therefore in charge of the country's purse and all of the assets of the country, and amazingly did not know. Gopi Singh had to come into the parliament and prove, and of course we on the ground report, I was assigned to that fact, and I went all over the country, and if you see some perfect buildings that is now run over by nature, grass, bush, and trees and all growing at the entrance and so on. I mean, it is pathetic. It's a waste, and therefore these people should really be charged, all of them, for treason. Go ahead.
And even look at it too. If you're going back to the highway, right? It was Kamala Prasad, predecessor, who brought back Carson Charles to talk in Parliament and say exactly what was going on with the highway from San Fernando to Point. She brought him back to talk in the Parliament. So when people saying that she wasn't working, she was. I mean, she still have a lot of work to do,
Of course. We know that, especially to salvage the nonsense that these fellas did and the evil that they would have perpetrated, including, of course, under criminal operation. But go ahead.
So I would say that she managed the country well. She managed the country well with the resources that she had. Right?
Yes.
So these buffoons and them that we have running it right now, I mean, look at even the statement with what Mariano Brown made the other day. Right? I mean, I told you about it the other night.
Yes.
Right? And not even the PNM nor the UNC could turn around the economy. Which is a bag of nonsense because you can't compare PNM with UNC. There's no way you could do that under Kamala Prasad beside the Sessions government. None. So these are my comments tonight, and I will call you back again as I listen to the program.
Boy, I'm like you had these those persons who can get to me on my cell phone. I'm just admonition, or should I say, indicating to those who could get me on my cell phone. You see, we have a nice conversation. Thank you very much, sir, for your contribution.
Okay.
Bye bye. Yes, indeed. So, yes, people, and of course, he made my work a little more easy because, of course, I don't have to, of course, talk about, regurgitate what he just said about the schools and so on. So I could go on to some other things to demonstrate. Remember, the whole objective of this exercise tonight is to show where Kamala and they, let us dismiss that notion that they were sleeping or in any way were not alert, and therefore bring the population, the electorate in particular, to the current understanding, to the contemporary understanding. Yes, it took some time because Rowley and they were working overnight. They were on steroids, trying, of course, to obfuscate and trying to deflect and trying, of course, to bridle you and trying, of course, to put on blinders or blinkers on you so that you wouldn't see the light. But eventually, as we know, evil cannot prevail over good, and therefore the good is now, of course, taking its rightful place in the psyche and the consciousness and the realities of Trinidad and Tobago, brought on as far as the multiple negativities are concerned by Rowley and they attempting, of course, to project that as the best thing that Trinidad and Tobago could get, when in fact they have failed and they appear to be total and absolute curse. They are cursed. It reminds me, of course, of a term that I would normally use. It will come to me in a while, but the fact of the matter is, it's about evil. Maybe the closest to it that you would appreciate is a kind of Chucky-like evil. Chucky, yes, that movie, that dolly or that configuration of evil. Yes, that of course we all are familiar with Chucky and that dangerous dagger or knife. And then they have chopped and chopped and chopped and chopped and tried to dig out our hearts and our minds and all of the essentials that are necessary for modern day living and for a better life. And what they have done is institute only disaster after disaster, evil and pain, ache and agony. But let's get on. So now that he has given that, let me just simply conclude by saying no one could look at the issue of the Vincent Nelson matter and say it is slight. Exposed by Kamala Prasad Bisasa and the UNC. Watch me. Put yourself in Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen position. Your neighbor come and falsely accuse you of stealing her stove. The police accept that because the neighbor could say you were in the yard around the time when the stove was missing, and you didn't, and the neighbor did not invite you there. But you might have gone there probably to retrieve a ball that from which it was as a consequence of playing cricket in your own yard, but the ball came over, and around that time the stove went missing. And she said, it's you. And the police hold you and of course charge you. But let me tell you something. That example is a plausible one. In the case of Rowley and the accusations against Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen, two prominent lawyers in this country, you know what they would have been facing? The loss of their reputation, the loss of therefore income, their profession. Like the petrolician workers, they were facing, of course, not being able to satisfy their mortgage, send their children to school. Understand that? Pay for gas if they have a car, and if they have no car, pay to go to work and from work. Can't put food on the table as they would have accustomed to, just as the petrolician workers, people. That is how dangerous Rowley and they are. And in that situation, and all of us would have been saying at the time when they were in the ascendancy, in the initial stage of the investigation and the police action, including the DPP, was brought into the fray. All of us would have been saying, well, boy, it appears that what Rowley and them were saying is true, boy, and then therefore all Rowley and them want is for you to say, boy, it appeared to be true, and then therefore they will wazzle back into government when the next election comes. That and a pink donkey they will not see, because Kamala Prasad Bisesa and the UNC made the intervention, did the investigation, and as a consequence, we get to find out that it was not witness tampering. Quite apart from that, it was the perversion of the course of criminal justice, as is the case with the cause the Petrotrin matter. Understand that now, you Petrotrin people, so all 65,000 of you, directly and indirectly, who Rowley and they have, of course, now created paupers. You are in a state of pauperization, impecuniarity. Yes, that's where you are. Rowley and they did that. And I'm saying to you that with the example that I drew with respect to the stealing of the stove by virtue of somebody, the neighbor, going into another yard because a ball went there. In the case of Rowley and they, it is worse than that. There is no plausibility. They concocted the whole thing. They manufactured the whole thing. It is their pernicious, evil, diabolical, and of course, clearly punitive nature, punishing nature of their imagination to stay where they are in office unmeritoriously, and they don't care a damn. You must understand that these people must not be spared, you know. They must not be spared because they wanted to damage you. So therefore, when you get the chance, recognizing that all it was about is to try to damage you in order for them to stay where they are so that they could eat ham, lamb, and jam and live voluptuously. I say live voluptuously. That they could eat and drink of the best in the country and what the best country has to offer, and then they will of course exploit that to the hilt and not of course care damn as to those families, especially in the working class, because they took from those as well when they removed the laptops and reduce the feeding program and emasculate the gate program. They don't want you, of course, to be the best you can with the resources in the country of your birth and what the country can offer. They don't want that. They wanted that for themselves and their family and their friends and their acquaintances and those who they rather and prefer. You know what it is. Let us take Ines Gate. Let's take Ines Gate. Let's take Ines Gate. But let's go to the lines first before we go further. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Yes, Mr. Lennox, it's me again.
Yes.
Now let me tell you something.
Mm-hmm.
I know, well, I feel I know almost everything Kamala do for this country. All what she, help the people with, etc., etc. I feel I know almost everything. And I fed up here people talk about that. I like to go forward. Yeah?
Well, then I want to
Road
stop you there,
bill.
because if you know
Watch
that,
me.
then you
Watch
cannot
me.
say, you
Road
cannot
bill.
conclude that she did nothing and she was complacent. If you correct
Nah,
that,
I ain't
me and you
talking
could
about
talk.
them thing.
No, that's what you talked
when
about
I
earlier.
say,
And
well,
that is
watch
what
me.
drove me to say what I'm saying now. So whether you know
Watch
that
me.
and did not acknowledge it by your position, I say it is disingenuous of you, and it's my duty to correct that. Unless
Watch
you say
me.
no, that you know that, and that is a fact, and that you change your position. Yes.
I don't like reproaching and thing, right? You see, when people have to talk about what they do and the thing and thing, they tell you reproaching ain't good, right? I know all what she do. It complex. Some I mightn't have in my mind, but I know she do
I don't need to go further then,
and
coming
she
from you. I
had
don't
to
need to
do
go
all
further
of
then.
that
I ain't going
because
further
she's
then.
a prime minister. It's her duty to give us all what, you know, we deserve to get.
Rowley too.
Right?
Rowley as Prime Minister too. But how we doing it?
We know here doing that.
Right, good.
But we can't continue with all how much school she built and road and this, because this is a war going on here. We looking for strategy to deal with this man, this government he have. We looking for strategy. We can't be going on every day talking about how much school and how much this and that. Somebody call us and them doing it too. And everybody get together and they go, and that is like if this whole thing is a cult.
Yes,
right?
but you cannot say, as a serious
Watch
person,
me.
let me repeat again. As a serious person, you cannot say that they are complacent, that they're sleeping. That's the word you
Watch
use.
me, Lennox.
You cannot say
Lennox,
that.
Camilla sleeping.
Right,
I
you
talking
see?
about no. I ain't talking about the past. I never talking about no past and say she fall asleep and then give the country nothing. No.
You're now
She's
explaining
sleeping
yourself.
right now.
Right.
It don't have any democracy here.
Good.
This country don't have no democracy. The government failed. We don't have security. In this country, we have open borders, and she could ask for help outside. This is what I'm talking about. I always talking that. I leave everybody else to keep talking every day about the hospital she built and she do this. That is helping we right now. We want strategy, we want action because it's war. This is life and death here. This morning I hear you say that the barge in Tobago that turn over. We won't hear anything about that anymore.
Yeah,
right? Where they say they arrest the barge. Let me tell all you something. Everybody doing the contraband gas hustle, and who I know. That's the hustle. It's gas. And that's what we have to study about. Gas. We live by these things, oil and gas. This is how we live, and this is where everything mashing up too. We livelihood mash up. That's what we have to focus on. Don't be in the past about how much road bill and who had work, and she gave a baby grant, and it's so they're going whole time. It's contraband right through. Nobody cares. These people don't care about how much thing turn over in Tobago or Trinidad. They don't care. The small man on the ground here in Trinidad, right? They hustling the gas. They bringing the gas and oil keg, right? People go say, well, what a little bit of gas and oil keg doing? Gas in Venezuela cheap. To fill a tank of gas in their country for people to understand, and there's something I tell all you already, it's just $5 TT to fill a tank of gas. They bring in the gas here in oil keg, all kind of 30 keg, oil keg, and that is money. That is money for them, especially them Venezuelan. All over the place. The contraband gas out of Venezuela is a normal thing. That thing only talking the That is normal for them Venezuelans. They're laughing. That is simple thing. They find we should know how to thief it and to do hustle. Right? All in Colombia, they're contrabanding gas through tracks in the mountain. They're carrying it on jackass back. Right? And they tell you they have to live. And then the government just turn a blind eye because they don't have employment. So they just allow the people to contraband the gas from Venice to Colombia over the river and all in tracks in mountain. Right? So all this talking about this boat and all of that. Them have time, them just give all of that to hold about all they arrest the barge. How much time all you hear vessel coming inside of here all up in Mayaro and they catch them with kegs full with gas. Some they catch, at time they catch a boat with drugs in it and thing, and it had empty kegs, empty oil keg. It's gas they're dealing with. It's time Trinidadians know how to handle these kind of situation and talk out because it's water more than flour. Good night.
All right, good night. Once again, I am no easy fella to deal with in terms of rationality, common sense, and focus. If you tell me that Kamala didn't do anything, then I have a duty and responsibility to say it is not so. If I focusing on the energy sector and you're not satisfied that they are making enough move, whether OS, United Nations, etc., say so. But the question of Kamala, they have not done anything. They are complacent. They are sleeping. It is not consistent with the statement that they have done something. So you need to be able to find a way to compartmentalize and say, listen, in spite of all what they did, for example, this is the area that they have not focused on, and you will like them to focus on. And so here is my contribution and focus. A person who is not aware of what in your mind, you alone could have it in your mind. Nobody is mind readers. Would draw the inescapable conclusion that what you have to say where they are lagging or lapsing or lacking, and your focus, and you say that they are sleeping and they are doing anything, well, the natural person will assume that everything else was not handled or in any way addressed by the Kabbalah Prasad Business Administration. But it's good therapy, one, and it's good information, two, for those who may not be aware, because we are packaging it in a different way. Notice nobody talked about the degree or make the relationship between Anand Ramlogan and Ramdeen, and of course Petrotrin, for example, and the people who would have been displaced. So it is good as well. But let's go to the lines. Professor, good night. Welcome.
Hello, good night.
Good night to you.
How are you going?
I'm all right, and yourself?
All right, boy.
All right.
Last night I tell you up to now.
Yeah.
People that still be talking about Banjo and they do any work day.
Yes.
We like up all the roads show the country.
Mm.
You have to keep reminding people what was done. Otherwise you're going to forget. Plenty of them forget already. Plenty of these youngsters, 16 years old, they don't know what to call that.
Yeah.
So by you reminding people what Kamala do, you are doing nothing wrong there.
And more than that, the caller ended up saying, well, yeah, it's true, all of them things, we know that. But yet still you use a statement in your presentation that they're complacent and sleeping. That sounds to me like a confused person. But go ahead, my friend.
But you must keep talking about that LENNOX every chance you get.
Yes.
Otherwise, people go for you. You have to remind people. Go look at the state of the country now.
Yes.
You call Kamala in there, all that going on.
Are you hearing me now, caller?
Yeah, LENNOX.
No, not you. I try to get it.
Lennox?
Yeah. Are you hearing me? On the system. Alright, call back. I don't
Lennox, that
want.
phone make...
I don't want to. Alright, go ahead, Mr. Tagrigo. When you
You
call
don't
back,
talk
I
too
know.
much about let me lose out like that.
Yes.
Yeah. You have to keep reminding the country all the time, LENNOX.
Yeah.
The country for long and it's for long because of the PNM.
Yeah.
And you must remind them how it was on the camera.
Yeah.
But don't you anybody could be offended with that.
Yeah, and the reason why I do that, maybe because it's natural for me as a former teacher in the formal system, and I still consider myself a teacher. You know, you need to be able to make people understand the fundamentals of whatever subject it is, whether it's English and so on. You need to make them understand the grammar and how is become are and so on and so forth. And I think that is where I believe my skills are, and that is why I will always gravitate. But go ahead.
Yeah, and naturally.
Yes.
Because when you see something going on, you have your program. You can talk what you want to talk.
Yeah.
Unlike some of the fellas in the Senate and thing. They can't afford to really explanation like you on your program.
That's right.
They're just trying.
Yes.
But when you have the speaker and all them want to come down on them.
Yeah. Let me. I want to cut you short because I'm getting a call here and I want to take the. All right. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah,
Because he cut off here. I had to take him on the phone.
You have a better chance here to keep the people informed.
Yes. All right.
Right?
Yes. Let me go.
Continue. Go ahead.
Right. Yeah. Thanks. All right. Let me see now. President, good night. I had to take you on the phone itself, boy, and not on the computer. Are you hearing me now? Caller? All right, just let me make sure. Let me make sure and do something here again. Oh boy. The night is one of those nights, right? Okay, good. I think we communicating now. You hear me? Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Right, go ahead. Oh my goodness.
I hear somebody talking in the background.
Still? Let's see why.
Yeah, hear another person talking. Somebody listen to the conversation.
I think it might be you. I have one twice. All right. Are you hearing me now? No. All right, call back, caller. Call back. Call back, my friend. Call back. If you call back now, we should be in a better position. Call back now. All right, people. You know what it is. We have to improvise tonight because the mic seems to be giving some trouble. Well, of course, I don't need to go further except, of course, to uniquely show the comparison and what this government is all about and what they have done with respect, of course, to the Petrotrin and the workers and that of Anand Ramnogan. But the point I was making with respect, of course, to the... let's go now. All right, let's see now. Are you hearing me now? You hearing me now?
Yeah, I hear you.
Right, good, okay.
You're like contribution. By people like that talking into the system like...
Yeah, boy, we're good. They can do what they want. They can't keep a good man down. Go ahead and a good program down. Go ahead.
They're hacking the system. Be careful. I'm here, listen. You're saying about all what Kamla and do, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that, highlighting all what they do. Nothing wrong with that. As the caller say, you have to keep highlighting because some people are celebrating, especially them young people. Them tend to remember too much. But the PNM are not doing real thing, boy. Not only Kamla and them do. The PNM doing real thing, but here what going on? Relax.
Yeah, go ahead. I hear you. Go ahead. Yes, so let me see if I get if Miss Santa Cruz might be lucky. Miss Santa Cruz? Alright, I'll cut off. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead, Kuva. Go ahead.
What the PNM doing is not what the people want.
Yeah.
The PNM telling out the whole country. Rowley say he gonna answer general.
Yeah.
What's really man was telling you last night? All what they have for sale.
Right.
You hear me?
Yeah. We have all that on
Right,
tape. Yeah.
I was telling you the other day about what they do for Citizen Bank.
Right.
Right? If you can call him, but sell for Citizen Bank by
Yeah.
that Trinidad Bank.
Yeah. Up for sale. NP up for sale.
Right, that's what I was
The port
showing you
up for
the other day,
sale.
but I tell you what they're doing.
Yeah,
And you know what
yeah.
done. I did tell you about they have a rift going on between Rowley and Collingwood. I did tell you about that. And the person who is being in the parliament, who is saying is control the mic, who leave the mic on for short young to talk. You know the person who leave the mic on?
Repeat that, Labaya.
When I had the talk where short young made the thing about women's mean I think who leave the mic on?
Who was what?
Who leave the mic on in the parliament?
Oh,
and
who
Short
left
Young
it
was speaking all the
on?
rubbish?
I would say God. God. The nasty.
No, but who? Huh?
I say God.
Well, whoever.
Yeah, go ahead,
I
go
don't
ahead.
know whoever leave my mic on right now. Let me tell you something. Why you think Collingwood gave Rowley $50 million for? You think because he like Rowley? Collingwood trying to bribe Rowley to get back the position and rest Short Young Harbour. They understand what's going on.
No, I wanted to hear what you have to say. That's why I say God, so I will get the theory that you have come up with. But go ahead.
I tell you, it have a big, that's exactly the theory. Just have a big rift going on between.
But it's obvious.
Collingwood
It's
and
obvious.
Rowley.
It's clear that the fact that even in that circumstance, Young is the chosen deputy or the person to deputize. I mean, it's clear that there is a refund. Both cannot feel comfortable or comforted with that situation. Yeah.
Right, the next point is that the 2 point something billion are missing. Rowley know everything about it. And he don't want to question Collingwood. You understand?
Well, could it be that they question him? Could it be that they question him? But could it be? Let me ask you something. Could it be that he questioned him and he could not come for it, but he was accused of knowing something about it? He in Bert was accused of knowing something, and that is why, out of an abundance of caution, he replaced him to deputize for him. Why I'm saying that is because as soon as the indemnity agreement came to the fore, Rowley tried to distance the cabinet and himself from Al-Rari by moving Al-Rari from the office of the Attorney General and demoted him. So you see that similar pattern.
I hear what's going on, right? I got to listen to you, but what to hear what's going on.
Right.
So the PNM have that rift, right? But Rowley wouldn't let you the people know what's going on between he and Collingwood. He wouldn't let them know what's going on between he and Farrell Rowley, right?
Yeah.
But he will use Short Young to drive wedge between them because he don't know what's going on. And he wouldn't let the public know because they will call an election, they will demand an election. So all the money was missing. They're calling, but they can loop with it and coming back and buying and set a channel like Citizen Bank, right?
Yeah.
Like when they're going and buy the port. So the money they're taking and the money they're missing here, but they're taking it and spending it and buying it under names of companies that do not exist.
Yeah.
If they do
All that, yeah, ghost companies and all that. Yeah, that is tough money. Yeah.
You understand? So I was saying, I only tell you this to give you a little insight.
Yeah, okay, then,
right? But I want you now to use this song and build your stuff on it.
Yeah, man.
You understand?
No
And I listen to your way of saying.
Thanks very much. Oh, people, what a tangled web we weave when we first set out to the sea. PNM is imploding, they're collapsing on themselves. That's all I have to say with respect to that. Of course, I will end my understanding without fear of contradiction what Kamala did and what has brought the UNC and Kamala Prasad Bissesa to the prominence and on the cusp of course, winning the next elections handsomely. Not just winning, handsomely. I predict some 26 to 27 seats. At minimum, there may be other surprises. Who knows? There may be a situation like Tobago. Let me put it that way. But that being as it may, let us go again, of course, to remember we started off by talking about Dr. Rowley's demand for an apology because, of course, people call he a rapist and a pedophile. That rapist and pedophile. But listen to this again, just in case you just
An
joined us.
unfortunate and unnecessary distraction. Anna Ramdes. October 19, 2024. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley says the matter surrounding Government Minister Stuart Young's statements has been dealt with by the Parliament's rules. He said he hopes one day opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar will apologize to him and his family for her role in placing on Hansard that he and his father were rapists and that Senior People's National Movement, PNM members were engaged in pedophilia. The matter was an unfortunate, unnecessary, unintended distraction. The matter has been extensively and comprehensively dealt with by members of the House and the full chair, said Rowley via WhatsApp when asked for comment by the Express yesterday.
Yes, indeed.
I trust that the members for...
Let me go straight to the line. A pleasant good night.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night, good night.
You ain't send birthday greetings for the Prime Minister, boy?
If what?
You ain't send birthday greetings for the Prime Minister today, the man's birthday is 75.
Well, he could be 70 nothing. It's nothing to me. Or the population, the majority.
And you have that next little short rooster, that little common fowl in the House in Parliament there. Getting on bad, boy. The Minister of Finance, he say he coming back next year for next term.
Oh yeah. That's part of the illusion, you see. Who the gods wish to destroy, they first send them mad. So he has gone stark berserk.
Well, if you see how he will get on with he and the rest of them PNM parliamentarians.
Yeah, they're going to knock the desk, they are going to top the desk, they are going to, of course, pretend that they are all in a glorious mood. But of course, let's face it, the fact that they can't hold an election, a simple thing, consistent with their constitution, that of course Stuart Young has to replace the same minister. Clearly there are some differences, and some deep differences, is almost a canyon, clearly, because I mean, in the circumstances that he left of Stuart Young to act, demonstrates that, because normally what will happen in such a situation, having regard to his statement and his ultimate apology to the people and in the House, that he ought to have been replaced, but he left him there. So Robin, of course, what I consider to be feces in the people's face and in the Parliament, and undermining our democracy in the way that Rowley has grown and we have grown accustomed to seeing him do. So, but go ahead, my friend.
Well, he was saying all the opposition, all they want the election. Remember what happened in 2020? Or they get election in 2020, you know the outcome. And you laugh when I see for like go be school what they vote for. Sit down then, clack in she mouth. And the next Wajang in the back there, Luka, so grand, sing or sakla, sing or when she name in the back. She's like, come on, put on.
Yeah, they will wallow in their misery. Misery loves company, and they are in consummate and enveloped, almost like an amoeba. They are engulfed in their misery, knowing full well that they are facing blue lights and silver bracelets. That's what's going to happen. That is typical of criminals.
You know, I can wish a seat boy, if Colin would go for election, he lose a seat boy. I'll do it real bad, get a licking in the tail, I'll have a shorty big mouth up. That man,
it will come, don't fight, my friend, it will come. Evil can never prevail over good. Alright?
Well, if the people spare the thought and bring their man back there, there are more draconian measures they go bring on the people of this country.
Of course.
Now,
they have given them a license to, of course, make us a suicidal society. That's all. Because we are suckers for punishment.
We laughing at these things and all that, but that's a serious thing.
No, it's serious. It's serious.
People committing suicide, they can't feed their family, some of them frustrated.
Yeah.
Look at all these things that happen in this place. all this sort of
Listen,
robbery and extortion and all
I
these things
coming in
never before
yesterday.
seen.
Yesterday, I coming into the facility at George Street and going back out. And people only meeting me, shaking my hand already and saying congratulations. Of course, the proof of the pudding is in, of course, the results of the elections on elections night. But the point is that people have made up their minds. That is what I'm getting. And therefore, there may be some unique surprises coming out of the next elections from all of what I'm seeing on the ground here and elsewhere. But go ahead.
This country need a revolution of the minds. You understand? A revolution of the people.
I'll have to cut you off. I have another call coming in. I don't want to use this system.
Have a good night, Lennox.
Yeah, same to you. Yes. Let's go there. Professor, good night. Welcome. Welcome.
Hello?
Welcome.
Lennox, finally.
Yeah, we have a problem with the mic
Good
tonight.
night to you and everybody.
Yes.
But Lennox, I've been amusing myself on the chat, right?
Yes.
We having fun on the chat. We having fun on the chat tonight. Lennox,
Hey.
you always keep saying that when whom the gods wish to destroy, they first send them man.
Oh yes.
Well, I'm telling you, if it's not empty dustbins banging on the pavement, it's a set of mad asshole they're calling you. You understand? Oh my God!
I can imagine. I'm sorry the mic ain't working.
We having fun.
Yeah.
Yes,
having fun.
we having fun.
Yes.
We having fun on the line, on the chat tonight.
Yes,
you know, but we making up for it, and we couldn't get a call earlier. We making up for it on the chat. Lennox, here, man. Some people they give the definition of recurrent decimal. You know.
Oh yes.
They give the definition, a new definition of recurrent decimal and empty vessels. But Lennox, I know it's getting late and you're looking very tired tonight. But I'll just tell you this. Sagram saying get her like a hyena in the Senate. And no sooner after she was like a banshee. She carrying on in the Senate, man, and talking about honest and bright Indians and this and then you had Sukai, or whatever his name is, coming to tell people that the Wali's darkness over light. He really proved how intelligent he was. Darkness over light, yes. He really, Lennox, I'm supposed to feel shame, but I didn't feel shame, you know.
No, you can't, because you know that they are no goods and the intention was never honorable or healthy for the country, and therefore you can't have any sympathy for them. But go ahead.
But Lennox, she actually carried on the field. She put down Dr. Gopi Singh. She put down I think it's Darrell Smith or something, so is his name, a senator. They put down all these senators that come about it, man, if they hear it. And no sooner, you see how God has put it in a way to bring down them so?
Yeah.
You see how we just put it, Lennox?
Yes.
And before the Senate was over, he made a fool of that bright Indian. Made a fool of himself. But Lennox, let me tell you something. One of the things that I was pleasantly surprised about this morning is we had to admit how a lot of people suffer from coprophagia.
Yeah.
Right? You see how all of them licking up their own vomit now? You see how they licking up all what they say about Kamala. All what they say about Kamala, they're still saying it about Kamala.
Yes.
You see how they have to turn around now. That's why you see sometimes, Lennox, it's good to leave the mother ass and them to talk, and talk themselves out like brown pencil skin.
Yes.
Yeah, leave them, let them talk, because we know they are dust in the wind.
Yeah.
They are dust in the wind, you understand?
Yeah.
And they could talk how much they want. And look at how this morning, they had to admit. Even this other one, Darrell Duku, nowhere to be found. The last time we heard him, he was in St. Joseph Cemetery, digging up cemetery dirt to keep coming out. And if you see him now, Lennox, if you see him now.
To destroy, the first of them mad, and of course, there is no greater scenario.
And here the man, Lennox, it have a lot of them going mad. It have a lot of them going mad. But you know what?
we sitting back, we buckling our seatbelts, and we enjoying the ride. Lennox, you have a good night.
Just
Take
before
care.
you go, I want to get your view.
Tell me.
Imbert did say that he was not addressing those temporary senators because there is a situation where they're bringing these senators. One,
Thank God, you know.
yeah, and two, it is almost illegal or unconstitutional or not permissible. I wonder where he was when the PNM would of course introduce a number of senators, temporary senators from time to time, including the man who was at the head of course the day of policing. Remember this fella who contested afterwards, this police officer who contested the seat for Tabaki. Do you remember that? I wonder what he was saying there. I wonder what he was really saying.
You know,
is
you
it another
see,
case of
Lennox,
aphasia?
Yeah, co-professor. Lennox, he was standing in front of the fridge door. He was standing in front of the fridge door. He wasn't closing it, you know. You see what happened with the PNM and them. What is good for them is not good for anybody else.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that Seals is the Seals fellow who led the
Michael
police
Seals,
and then he contested the election for Tabakit.
Yeah.
What about your corner fella? What about your corner fella? Right? The police officer who was screened for as a councillor for the PNM.
That's right.
Right? But you see what good for them, it's not good for anybody else.
Yeah.
Right? They can do what they want, but you see, bothering them. But let me tell you something, all who want to talk about Kamala, they can't put their foot in Kamala's shoe.
Oh yes,
they
of course. They have recognized they have humbled and they have the only thing they do yet is genuflect, meaning they kneel down and say sorry. Even though of course she is no what I consider to be deity, but certainly in the human context, extremely respected.
And she's educated. You see some of these stepsisters and them try to put the big foot in Kamala's shoe, but it can't fit.
That's
right? It can't fit. Right? And they always want to come to tell her what to do.
Yeah.
The woman is an educated woman.
That's right.
The woman did cases all up the island with Mia Motley and all of them, and the gentleman said it what night it was as well.
Yes,
Kamala no fool, Kamala know exactly what it is she's doing.
Even when they tried to darken the path, he was able to illuminate and of course come out a conqueress. I would say a conqueror, a conqueress of a high and exceptional degree. Yes.
And you see, Lennox, how she remained in her comfort zone, I'll call it her comfort zone.
Yes.
And you see how all of them, as you rightly say, had to come now and Jenny Fleck.
That's right.
You see how they had to come now and Jenny Fleck?
Yes.
Right? But you see, the thing about it is, Lennox, they can say what they want about her. They cannot reach up to her level, so they try to bring her down to theirs. But she'll never come down to their level. She'll never come down to it.
That's right.
Lennox, hear the man. Let me tell you something, They can beat it, they can say what they want about her. They can't touch her, and all of them. And you see what it has happened to. You see, all of them now listen to Philip Alexander. Because Philip Alexander made no bones about it, that he is supporting Kamala Persad-Bissessar because of her plans and policies. And if people cannot see that, Lennox, something is wrong with them.
Yes.
Something is wrong. But they always want to come and dictate to
you have those
Kamala.
who are wearing blinders, and you have those who refuse to see. And of course, you know what to say about those kinds of persons. Those who
those who can't see.
Those who are seeing it in front of them and refuse to see, well, of course, there's none as blind as such individuals.
You understand? So Lennox, they can say what they want about her. At the end of the day, all of them still have to come back to her.
Yes.
Jenny Fleck, because you see, it's water more than flour now, and they can't take it no more. When she was warning all of them about what Keith Rowley would do, nobody listened to her.
Yeah.
Nobody want. But you see,
you
never miss the water.
Yeah, they take on the blinders.
You never miss the water, Lennox, until the well runs dry. And now that the well is running dry, they're begging for Kamala to come back there. But she's going to come back, Lennox, and she's he's going to deal with all of them in
All of
our
them. Yes,
own way.
see you in the morning.
Lennox,
See you in the morning.
yeah,
Okay,
thanks
then,
a
bye-bye.
lot until tomorrow.
Yes.
Later.
People, of course, we are running out of time. It's already 8 minutes past 10 o'clock. We started on time. Let me see if we have another caller online there. All right, okay, let me go there. Mr. Rima, my apology, but I was cutting off because I couldn't hear you on the system, so it didn't make sense. But go ahead, Mr. Tarigo. Let me just sorry about that. Go ahead, Mr. Tarigo. Yeah, go ahead, yes.
If people calling and complaining every day,
Yeah.
they have water and all the complaints, right?
Yeah.
And they can't get work. And you reminding them how the country was under camera. Where you want better than that?
Yeah.
You reminding them so that they will not make
Oh,
the same
but that is
mistake.
necessary. I as a teacher, as a professional, as a criminologist, etc. You know, you learn all of these things, and you know that is what has to be done. It's only persons who don't appreciate that will, of course, they don't have the responsibility to, of course, take people from the known to the unknown. You find that they will have difficulty in comprehending that kind of approach. But go ahead.
Yeah, you reminding them how it was so that they won't make the same mistake again.
Yes.
And you remind them how nice thing was.
Yeah.
So they're calling and complaining not only by your program,
Yeah.
ground report and everything.
Yeah.
And
But
you
especially,
reminding them so that they wouldn't make the same mistake again.
especially when it is raised by a caller that may have some, let's say, influence or some kind of people may take them seriously. We need to disabuse, but more importantly, there may be people who are not aware at all, and they cannot arrogate unto themselves or selfishly believe that since them know already, others must know. You see, again, that is part of the teaching skill, because of course, a fella may be 15 years of age and can't spell the word car, C-A-R. But of course, that was because most likely he never saw it before or never paid attention to it. And therefore you must now, of course, upgrade him and make him now aware that C-A-R, because he may well want to spell car C-R-A to it, and you have to say no. Yes, you have all the letters right, but in the wrong order. It is C-A-R.
But watch me. And you see that thing with the microphone?
Yes.
The speaker so low like that shit apology was so your meeting. And what can they get out of this? She will get it on.
Yes.
Yes, she don't know that it's bullshit with you. She already apologized to camera.
Yes.
And she was so disgusted that what can they get out? She forget my call.
Okay.
That's my ticket. I think she forget you. But you know to be good?
All right. Yes.
Yeah.
I
All
see.
right, Lennox.
Yes, thank you very much. Of course, see you in the morning. Let's see if we could get Miss. I think Miss Arima was trying to call. Ah, boy, we have another call here. Let me see if I can. All right, okay. Let me take that one time. All right, let me take that. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Mr. Lennox.
Good night to you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, how you doing?
Well, of course, fighting up, waiting on you.
Yeah, hey, I got a thing. I was home and I got a thing in home and I contact the other half and I asked her for the information and never get it.
Oh, great,
So I went back on the road, I happened to my truck.
All right.
So
well, whenever you get the time,
anyway, you know.
contact my assistant and you don't make the arrangements. All right?
I did, and then I did, but I told her send me the information where I have to send it, you know. So I got it in my truck right now.
Yeah,
So I
get
can
the
do it
information
anywhere,
from her.
you know. I pick it up from home. Then anyway,
Yeah.
I'll make my contribution very quick.
Go ahead.
Hey, I thought I laughed this morning.
Yes, go ahead.
When we heard God say, "You know what? I just rescued what? The boat, the tanker, whatever."
Yeah, the arrest the ship. The arrest the tank. Yeah.
I say, you know, I still live up a note, voice note, but I didn't play. I said, well, Trent Tobago going through, man. To feed him that nonsense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it does
That
make
man
sense.
talk,
Yeah,
whatever you listen to that man, that'll be real fool.
Yeah.
You know, to
Especially when
listening lies.
he believed that we
You
don't
know what I mean?
know or we forget all what transpired before, and that was merely an opportunity to have, in futility, some kind of political currency, and they don't know that they're worth nothing politically. Yeah.
Yeah, he tried to distract the people now.
That's right.
Tell them, oh, I get the vote, you know.
We
doing a good job.
That's how the
Get out of
PNM
here,
does perform,
Mr.
and all
Elwood.
the kind of
You're the fuck of crap.
yeah, hogwash,
You know what I mean?
hogwash
Yeah.
associated rhetoric. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
when I was 2015, I was in Trinidad when when they had the election, you know.
Yeah. All right, my friend.
I was there.
Okay.
I was there. I come for a few. I was come for some kind of something I came back. I remember.
All right, my friend.
So anyway, I was there for 2 or 3 weeks.
My assistant will contact you. All right, bye. I tried to put in
right.
1 or 2 calls, but callers, sorry about that. We have a challenge tonight. Of course, I want to play that. I want to play what I had for you. So let me play it one time, because we stand, of course, showing that Rowley has no moral authority to talk to ask for an apology, and I think we better make it clear here one time. Let's make it clear here one time. All right? This is how we will make it clear to you, make you understand whether it's sycophant or not. You have to take that.
I always used to like him since I went to school, but that is just, it used to be a secret something. It used to be a secret something.
When you born?
I remember that.
September 11.
9/11/52.
When you born?
I remember that.
September 11.
9/11/52.
When was I born? I was born.
Born 1970, 17th of June. So when I was...
That's his son, people. That's his son, and that's the woman he raped when she was around. It could be before 15, but certainly at 16. She made the child at 17.
The allegation is about me personally.
Listen to him now.
That has been dispensed with.
Imagine that.
As you would have seen, the victim of this supposed violation was able, fortunately for me, to speak for herself.
I always used to like him since I went to school, but that is just, it used to be a secret something.
In 1969, so I went to work, and I worked as a teacher, and then Wade Mark speaker approving a picture of a house where I was supposed to have raped some student of mine when I was a teacher. That is on the Hansard. That
I always used to like him since I went to school, but that is just, it used to be a secret something.
When you born?
I remember that.
September 11.
9/11/52.
When you born?
I remember that.
September 11.
9/11/52.
When was I born? I was born.
Born 1970, 17th of June. So when I had you, I was like about just a shy away from 18.
When was I born? I was born.
Born 1970, 17th of June. So when I had you, I was like about just a shy away from 18.
When was I born? I was
born 1970, 17th of June. So when I had you, I was like about
Let's take this call quickly. Professor, good night.
Yes, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
Mr. Rima here. So, Lennox, what you're trying to set me up on?
Why say that?
Yeah. So all the time when I talking about Kamala and doing anything, you find like that's no Lennox. So you find like I should be saying all the time, Shibel Road.
No. I never said that. I said that you cannot say by itself she is not or she's sleeping. You have to say that, listen, in spite of all of what she did.
Everybody know what Kamala do. everybody
No,
was
you
eating
are
and
an
drinking.
influential voice. I disagree with you. You are an
You must tell
influential
other
voice.
people when they're talking shit, they have influential voice, and they could tell the lady to try and save we life inside her here because she have power. Unless she asks for some international help. But because
I'm not arguing with you, or in any way.
It's gunman and we hole inside her
Yes,
here.
I'm
Them is the thing she had to see.
I am not shooting down what you're
life
saying.
inside her here.
Yeah, I'm saying
they
yes.
don't have no
I'm saying
medication
yes,
in the hospital.
Yes. All of that, yes.
Right?
Yes.
They're thieving out the money.
All of that,
thieving out the money and giving it away, paying for gas, the liquid plant.
Yeah.
People had to listen to TC program, and they were here with this country reach with all the thieving whole time. And they
you don't have to go by TC because you're saying that you shouldn't happen in the past, and at the same time you're happening in the past. I'm saying
don't try to set me up. I say let the people listen to that program they had this evening, and they will get to learn what is going on in this country. You will hear them fellas talk from the oil field workers trade union on that program.
I don't have to because I know there's no need for me to
yeah, you know so much of all kind of thing to talk, and you will be talking Rowley is a rapist and pedophile.
Because
Rowley,
I control the program and I decide what I am going to talk about.
Rowley
and I'm saying he has no authority to ask for forgiveness or anybody to tell him sorry. There's no need for that because he has no moral authority so to do. That is the point I am making, and therefore that is the nature of this topic tonight.
Inside of here, we don't need nobody sleeping. They don't give we road and hospital and school. What again? Jobs, all kind of things.
Well, they should be listening to TC and them.
No, I just listen to everybody I could get a little chance to listen to when I have time.
That was showing you're confused.
I listen to.
You're confused.
No, I ain't confused. You trying to see if you could confuse me. I listen
when you're confusing
to sensitive talk. Watch me.
Yeah.
TC and them just have good sensitive talk. When TC and them on a subject, nobody can call there to talk other than what they're talking about and who going all in the moon, who going on mad.
Okay, and I accept that.
They just have a control and people just talk on the subject they're on for the day. They don't have no shit talk there. And it had good talk this afternoon and I take it in.
Okay.
And I learned something from them union fellas.
All right, okay.
I on that. I don't have time to be on no peacock and shit talk. I on serious talk.
I hear you. All right, so that's it.
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much once again. And I will maintain that if it is that you are on a particular course, a topical course.
Hello?
Yeah, just now I'm caller. And you're on a particular course, you cannot simply say as an influencer of opinion out there to say that people are the Kamala Day are sleeping without, of course, saying or indicating that in spite of all of what they have done, they are sleeping on this particular matter. I could understand that. A person like me listening to that, otherwise I would not listen to a person who make a blanket statement that they are sleeping and pursue a course of action, not clarifying the extent to which or the specific areas that they are sleeping in, when in fact there are areas that exist that they have not slept in, on, or off. Let's go to the lines. A pleasant good night. Welcome.
Yeah, this is San Fernando calling back here.
Yes.
I just want to tell the caller that you can't dismiss other callers' contributions just like that. You can't. Because remember, okay, Kamala is one person, yes. And remember that Kamala Prasad Bisesa, as I just said, right? She has to do a hell of a lot, and she did a hell of a lot, and she still have more work to do. And if it is that Kamala Prasad Bisesa did not bring up a certain issue, right, in Parliament or out of Parliament or whatever, for the benefit of the country, well then say so. You understand? Say so, but you can't dismiss other callers by saying that other callers talking about this and that. Because you see, the contribution of one caller, right? That if a caller raises one issue, that issue might be something that could be very important, right? And if the Rowley administration made so many mistakes in the past, we have to keep the momentum going. So you're reminding people of what happened. You understand what I'm saying? So to dismiss what other callers are saying, I can't see that as being, we going forward. Yes or no, we have to go forward, and we can't keep really vegetating in the past. Yes, we can't live in the past, but at the same time, you understand, we want to go forward. And how do we go forward? You understand? So if it is Kamala have not raised particular issues, well then, say so. You understand what I'm saying? You follow? So that's all I want to say.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think those are words of wisdom, and of course, I'm sure that it is well taken. Yes, indeed. Of course, Ms. Santa Cruz, call back. I have to get you on the cell phone because the system itself is not reciprocating, if you want to call that. I may hear you, but you may not hear me. So I didn't want to take the chance. So that's why I cut you off earlier, as I did to Miss Arima and one or two other callers, so as to get you on the cell phone itself, this phone here. All right. So you call. Let me conclude that video because it's already 25 past at 10 o'clock. I need to get off. But this thing is going very, very interesting. But let me take this. Hopefully, this final call. All right. Let me see how we can get it. Waiting for you to come on the phone. I'm waiting for you to telegraph on the phone. Right, good. Got it. Right, good. All right, good. I got it. All right. Yes, pleasant good night. Welcome.
Lennox?
Yes, pleasant good night. You go ahead.
One for the road. I know you're tired and you want to go.
Yes,
but I want to tell you something, right? This is your program. Your program. Lennox Smith program. Don't let nobody come and tell you what to say, dictate your pace for you. Right? I tell you what to talk about and what not to talk about. If you feel to talk about what Rowley is every night, that is your prerogative. Don't let them, if anybody want to come and dictate to you, let them go and find their own program. Let us see how many people go to follow them. You understand? Don't let nobody come and tell you about what your callers saying and what your callers ain't saying. They damn fast and out the place. Lennox, you take care and have a good night.
Thank you very much. I think those are words of wisdom. And yes, of course, as you've seen, I don't think I could ever be timid, intimidated, or in any way. Yes, this is what I wanted to talk about tonight, and I put it in context from the beginning. And while we would have had, of course, some other what I consider to be diversion, some other diversions, the fact of the matter is that I've come back to the core of what I wanted to speak about, and that is to say the dishonesty, the immorality, and the false and fake paragon of virtue of Rowley by, of course, Churchill having apologized for what he said in the parliament. Rowley used the opportunity, opportunistically, parasitically, to, of course, ask for an apology for something that is in fact a fact. You know what I say? That's something that is in fact a fact. And therefore, it's important for me before, of course, we leave tonight to prove that fact. And I'm saying that that is the woman that he raped when she was about as a teenager, whether it's 13, 14, 15, 16. And she made the child at 17. He was a teacher. And that's the son there. And she was confessing, even though they brought her, for the PNM, that is, the Fatah's Brigade or the Women's Arm, to, of course, try to exonerate Rowley. And he has the audacity and the temerity when he was, of course, being interviewed by, of course, Julian, saying that he was exonerated. That she spoke to absolve him. But yet still, every time the opportunity presents itself, he wouldn't go and clear his name by sending me a pre-action protocol letter calling him a rapist and a pedophile, and only want to talk to me about leader and only representing or succumbing or following that scum of the earth. Yeah? A total, not just pedophile and rapist, but a predator. And yes, sir, you're quite right. No one can tell me what to say. I will accommodate and I will listen. But at the end of the day, the prerogative is mine to deliver. To deliver. Whether you like it or not. You have to take it. The truth does offend, and people that start to cuss. But oh, what a tangled web we weave when we first set out to deceive. And all deceptions would now be neutralized. Let's hear him again.
When I moved to live in Trinidad in 1970, I lived with my mother for a little while.
Notice, he made the child in June 1970. He moved to Trinidad. Why? They run him from Tobago. Understand he had to leave in the trunk of a car. That son of a much promoter.
By that time, my mother had moved to Mova. So I lived in Mova with my mother.
Self-esteem, right? Our theory was that you have to build a sense of self-worth before you can have a healthy self-esteem. We were encountering numbers of girls who were...
I want to tell you that I contacted the Me Too movement on this matter. And as we go forward into 2025, that communication will intensify. That's the organization that was responsible for people like the film magnate that was convicted for rape, Bill Cosby, and others. Yes, I contacted them. Because this fella can't be no prime minister for Trinidad, and he must get out of office in disgrace because of what he did in the past and what he has done as prime minister in this country.
Disclosing sexual violence. They were disclosing their experiences. And sometimes they didn't even know that it was a sexual violence, right? They would just tell us things like, I had a 7th grade girl, 12 years old, say to me once her boyfriend was 21 years old. And I thought, you know, that's not a relationship, like that's a crime.
Yeah. Yes, people. Let's hear the victim once again.
I always used to like him since I went to school. But that is just, it used to be a secret something. What you born? Can't remember that.
September
11, 11/52.
When you born?
Can't remember that.
September 11.
11/52.
When was I born?
Born 1970, the 17th of June. So when I had you, I was, well, like about, just a shy away from 18.
When was I born? I was born.
Born 1970, the 17th of June. So when I had you, I was, well, like about, just a shy away from 18.
The allegations about me personally, that has been dispensed with. As you would have seen, the victim of this supposed violation was able, fortunately for me, to speak for herself.
Just imagine that. Let's end there. I know that you are angry. I know that your iration is peaked or has peaked. The hogwash that he talking. How she exonerate you? How? You could fool them people in the PLM. And they're so damn stupid. Put a beast in human form like you to be what? Head of the party and prime minister? No one in my home. Anytime you talking, then they take off the TV. And you had the audacity to talk to Watson Duke about he couldn't be in the PNM because he had a charge for rape, and only because you ain't get charged yet. Because there is no statute bar, Rowley, for rape. Understand that. People, we have come to the end. And have a wonderful rest of the night. God bless. And don't forget, of course, tomorrow night I will not be here. But certainly tomorrow morning on the ground report, Andy, Mike, and myself, as we continue, of course, with these and other matters. Dr. Rowley has no moral authority, of course, to say he wants any apology. And I want to say this in closing, that Vanilla Toppin must be given an award for first alerting us as to the true Rowley, despicable rapist and pedophile. Have a wonderful rest of the night, and God bless. Of course, somebody tell me not to continue, so I will not. Let's just let us just close the program. All right. So see you tomorrow morning. Bye bye.
In the master, give me a walk with Peter. If I come sinners coming, with them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I want to fix them personally. Peter wait, Peter look Cecil Rhodes by the gate. Money. Peter look the Englishman, we send Cecil Rhodes to Africa land. Money. Peter take Drake, take Rowley, but leave Victoria for me. Peter, I just don't care what you say, but Mussolini, he can't get away. Why? This is my time for money. I'm burning. Jano. Hit me now. Because I'm begging the master, give me a walk with Peter. If I come sinners coming, with them I go be dealing. Because the things that they do me, I want to fix them personally. Peter wait, Peter look Cecil Rhodes by the gate. Money.